Yo, what's good, everybody? I'm Jez Dior, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
I was just telling her that I have emails from 2013 from you for your showcase
No
at the
way.
Viper Room.
Oh, crazy.
I think it was May 29th. That was the first time that I heard of you.
You there?
I was.
No way. Oh, my God. That's crazy. I was like 30 pounds heavier and out of my mind. But that's insane. That's so funny that you were
Oh,
there.
yeah, I was surprised. I checked my email for something because your name kind of sounded familiar.
Yeah.
And I checked my emails. I was like, sure enough.
Wow, that's so crazy. That's insane. Yeah, I can hardly remember that show, but I feel like that was one of the shows where I was like very anti-industry, everybody, and I think I went on like a rant that night on stage. Yeah.
You were still kind of trying to figure yourself out too.
Yeah, that was right in the beginning of everything. That was, I think, just right after I put out Scarlet Sage, which was like my first mixtape ever. So that was like, yeah, right in the beginning of everything. That's crazy.
So crazy. Now, moving forward, you just released 3 new tracks last week.
Yeah.
Tell me about your evolution in sound. Obviously, the sound is way different than 2013. But tell me about this evolution. And was this like a natural process for you? Was this something you've been like looking towards?
It was just a natural progression, really. I mean, you live and you learn, and I always try to be true to myself with what I write and keep it. Music for me is just emotional therapy. So I've always just written about what's going on in my life at that time. So the sound's always changed and everything, but the core always remains the same, where I'm just writing about myself, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, being so personal in your stuff, I noticed the new material, the 3 songs, are more personal than what you did before. So when you go into the studio, whether it's by yourself or with another producer or with another co-writer, how do you get vulnerable when you're talking about these kind of topics?
I mean, it's funny. My dad was telling me a story the other day where I used to rap like on a little PlayStation microphone in my mom's trailer, and my dad and my little sister would like stand outside and listen to me rap. And like, the only way that I've ever known how to rap or sing is just to be honest. And so it doesn't really, I don't really know anything else. So when I go in the studio, it's like if the other person's uncomfortable by me being honest, then that's on them. But like, I have to be that way. I don't know any other way. So that's just how it is when I go in,
Has that happened to you where the other person's uncomfortable?
I mean, sometimes it's a little weird if like, they'll play a beat or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, I have this idea about something happening to me, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that you were like really gonna go in and like tell your story like that. But for the most part, it's cool. Yeah.
Right. Now, you've always talked about music being your avenue to just express yourself and tell it like it is. So as you go into the studio for a new track, how do you change it up? How are you able to talk about something else?
I mean, just based off of what's going on or what I'm feeling, or I can always look back into the past and write about that stuff too. So it's just really on any given day, what's going on that day, or what's happened that week, or if I'm just like thinking about something from the past, just I for whatever reason feel like I have the ability to just like bring up different emotions within myself, when it's time to go in and do it.
As you're writing your music, you can rap, but you can also sing. So do you consider the singing when you're writing your music? Is that something that, just happens as you're creating the song in the studio?
Yeah, now I do. Singing for me is like a really new thing. It's been a weird journey for the whole singing thing, because it's something I've always wanted to do, but it wasn't until recently that I've really felt confident enough to try to do it. So I always keep that in mind now when I go in for sure.
How did you start singing? How did you build that confidence?
So I've been working with these guys, Matt Rad and Chris Wallace, for the last couple of years, and I've always sort of added melody to my raps, and when they heard me doing some stuff in the studio, they were just like, fuck it, bro, you should try to sing. Like, you should just go for it. Like, your tone is there. And so I just sat on the piano with Matt for like hours, and him helping my pitch and just like going for it, and they really gave me the confidence to try it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with these 3 songs that are out now, Come and Go is one of them that sticks out to me. And you also, it's also a feature with Rome from Sublime. So going into that track specifically, like, what was it about Rome that you felt like he was the right vocalist for the track?
Well, funny enough, that track we made within like the first hour of like meeting each other. So like
it was just meant to be.
Yeah, we met each other at his crib, and had a bottle of Jack and just talked about like our past and our dads and different stuff like that, and just vibed immediately, and it felt right for him to be on the hook for it, and he killed it. And yeah, it was really quick actually.
So was this just like a meet session, or were you guys actually supposed to do work together?
It was the first time we ever met, and normally I like to go hang with people before I work with them. But yeah, with him it was just like instant vibes, and now we're like super good friends too. So it's cool. Yeah.
Now, he's been in the industry for some time as well too. So as you guys collaborated on this track, like what did you pick up from him, like as you guys were recording the track?
I mean, he's just so dope, man. Like he can go in and kill something in like one take. Like just to watch him work is really dope, and his production now is insane. Like he even says that the drums on Come and Go are some of his favorite that he's ever done before. Really? But yeah, it's dope to watch him work, man. He's so talented.
And how does he compare to in the production sense? Like how does he compare to other producers that you've worked with? Because he produced the track as well.
Yeah, I mean everybody's different. I've been lucky enough, like since the beginning, from Scarlet Sage, to be able to work with really talented producers. But everybody's different. Everybody's got their own thing. But yeah, I mean Rome kills it every single time we've been in. Like we have more songs on the album together that are just crazy too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, talking a little bit more about this album, this is an Epic Records debut. Yeah. So these first 3 songs that you just released, like, are they similar to what we can expect on this upcoming album, or are they just a little taste of what the album would be?
I think that it's the reason why we put out those 3 songs is because they are different. Like Cocaine is just me singing, and Come and Go, I'm rapping quite a bit, but I think that's a good indication of what's to come on the album. It's pretty eclectic, but I am rapping, I am singing. There's a lot of live instrumentation. There's songs like Cocaine where I'm just singing and not rapping. There's songs where I'm just rapping. So yeah, it definitely like gives you an idea of what's to come for sure.
Right. And as far as the instrumentation goes, do you play these instruments as well, or is that something you haven't dabbled yet?
I'll let everybody else do that part. I mean, I'm in the studio from the beginning of creating the production always, and like telling any given producer like, oh, the guitar would sound cool here, or that type of sound, but I don't touch the instruments. I wish, man, but Fender actually just hooked me up with some shit so I could start learning how to play guitar. So I think I need to. My dad always yells at me like, "Why aren't you playing guitar?" and shit. So
don't they have like a program like for?
I mean, yeah. If I just took the time to pick it up, I'm sure it wouldn't be long. And I have a really sick guitar at my house too, so it's just laying there. I got to do it.
Now you come from, obviously you come from a music background. You grew up listening to rock and at the same time hip hop. So how are you able to kind of mesh the two together into the sound that you create today?
I don't know. It's just something that I've been doing since the very beginning. Like we coined the term grunge rap like years and years ago. And I think that's a big reason for like the cult sort of fan base that I've created, just because it was something new then, and it seems like everybody is sort of like mixing that now with like the Lil Uzi Verts and Juice WRLDs of the world. But I don't know, it's just something I've always done, and it's always come natural to like want guitars in my songs. I think just probably because of the shit that I was raised on and how I grew up, Right. Yeah.
Now you've mentioned that one of your favorite singers is Liam Gallagher.
Yeah. Liam Gallagher.
I didn't even pay attention to that. Nice. So what is it about an artist like Liam? I mean, obviously he's a great and talented musician. Yeah. I grew up on Oasis as well, but what is it about Liam that really sticks out to you?
I mean, everything. His like not give a fuck attitude, his music, the fact that like I think it's cool that he doesn't even care that Noel wrote all the music, for Oasis, and he's just a rock star, bro. Like I saw I just saw him play at not the Bowl. Where did I see him play? At the Greek. Okay. Like a couple months ago, and just his stage presence is still there. He's just such a G, bro. I just fuck with him, yeah.
Now, speaking of writing, how do you work on your music? How do you write your music? Is this something that you set? I know there's artists that set some time to work on music and write, and then there's some artists that just write whenever it comes to them. But how do you really write your music?
I like write when it comes to me. A lot of the times I'll have like I'll randomly think of concepts and I'll write them down in my notes or whatever, and then whenever I'm in with like I'm usually in with like Chris Wallace or Matt, and I'll take those concepts to them, and then we'll start a beat from scratch and just go from there. But I like to be there from the very, very beginning of the production. On a few occasions, I haven't been for songs that will come out, but like for the most part, I've been there from the beginning. And then, I write all my own lyrics and everything. So.
Now, as far as Chris Wallace and Matt, are they producers? Are they co-writers?
Both, yeah,
Okay.
both. I mean, mainly production, but they definitely both help on the writing side as well.
And are they like the main ones that we're gonna, be hearing these tracks from the album from?
Yeah, they've done the majority of it. I mean, I have tracks from other people, but they've done most of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to Epic Records. How did that signing kind of happen for you? Lately, they've been on a roll with finding like the next big talent. So how did that signing happen?
I mean, we were in a position where we weren't going to do a deal with anybody. It's been since the day 3 days after my first song came out, I was in Atlantic Records, like years and years ago, and then like we've been in talks with every single label that you can imagine, and nothing felt right. Nothing ever felt right, for various different reasons. And then when this Epic thing came along, we weren't even like looking for a deal or anything. We were very happy to just stay in our current situation and do it that way. Right. But they made us a deal that we couldn't refuse, and made like the most important thing was made me feel comfortable that they were going to take care of me. Right. And push it how I wanted and not change me. They were like, "You're doing great, keep doing you, and we're just going to put the machine behind it." So right. That made me feel comfortable, and yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Now, the fact that you have both of those, major genres into your music, like, do you feel like you can just basically tour with a rock band as well as you could tour with a hip hop act?
Yeah, that's what's sick. I mean, we're talking about doing a couple different things this year, but it's like, yeah, like my agents talk about putting me out with, this rapper over here, and then on the completely other side, it's like some bands. So it's right. Cool. I feel like that's the gift from adding this like rock element to the music, is it can go on both sides.
Right. What's been the biggest challenge in the last few years of your career, like in creating the music that you do today?
The biggest challenge is just like, I have a hard time making things up. Okay. So like sometimes if nothing's going on or things are just going too well in my life, right. I run out of material. You know what I mean? So it's like I have to like for a long time I didn't know how to write happy music. And so I have a few songs on my album now that like people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's like happy now, like he's good." But like for a long time I didn't know how to do that, So that was kind of weird. But yeah, I mean, I haven't run into too many problems with like the actual recording process or anything. So
right. How did you learn to write happy music? Because I mean, that's one thing that I've started to notice, that it's hard to write certain styles of music. How did you learn to do that?
It just takes time and practice, like I felt like almost cheesy at first, like showing that side of me. Right. And then I always keep my friends close, so playing them the music, I always trust their opinion. And obviously my management, everybody around me, they're like, "Nah, it's dope, like we like to see it like this too." So
What about in the studio? What kind of challenge have you faced that you're still kind of trying to figure out when you go into the studio to record either a track or just work with a new producer?
Singing, for sure. Singing is I'm still definitely learning how to sing. And so sometimes I'll get frustrated if I can't like hit the right note. But yeah, you just got to push through it, and it always ends up sounding how I want it to. So right. I just got to always remind myself, like, yo, you'll get there. Like, just keep going.
Right. I know you mentioned these 3 tracks were released because they're different from one another, but why else did you feel like these were the best way to kind of introduce this upcoming record?
Well, Cocaine, first and foremost, feels like one of the most important records of my career up to date. Just the whole song to me is one of my favorites that I've ever done. Come and Go feels like a story that has been needed to be told for a while for me, and I feel like that's definitely something that a lot of my fans can relate to. So that felt important to me to like come back and give them something like that. And then Kiss You Good, I think, shows another side of me that hasn't really been shown all that much up until this point. So that felt like a good way to go as well.
Now with Come and Go, as you mentioned, it's something you've been trying to release to your fans. Like, what was it about it that you didn't do it sooner? Like, what was it? Did you have a hard time writing the track?
Yeah, I mean, I've touched on that subject many times, but to write a full song about it is difficult, because there's a lot to talk about first and foremost, and then secondly, it's just it's a touchy subject. So you just want to make sure it's right. And that's why I took my time with getting all these new songs out, because I just wanted to make sure every little piece was right.
Now, now that these tracks are out, you're working on the upcoming album. What else can we expect for the remainder of the year for you?
Some touring, definitely going to play some shows. Got some videos coming out and more music.
And for those that haven't heard of you yet or your music, what are you all about? Why do you do music?
I mean, the same thing that Eminem did for me when I was a kid and helped me through my teen years and my childhood and all that, I want to be able to do for these kids that listen to me. And like, getting messages on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is all day, like saying that my music has saved kids' lives, like, in the middle of nowhere, like in Slovakia or something. It's just like so crazy for me. So that's the reason why I do it, and that's what keeps me pushing to do it. And if I can keep on doing that, then I feel like I've done something right.